Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast, we have WWE, AEW, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast. Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Marks. Welcome to the Banned from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. the John Moxley Shish Kebab. And sitting directly across from me, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
Nice. Well played, Shish Kebab. Okay, that's good shit. See, this is why I have you guys around. The creative process around me is such better than what I could ever come up with. You could have gave me 15 tries. I would have never came up with something as good as what we just came up with right there, at least this case, Vice. So on that lovely note, I'll ask the congregation to bow their heads as I read from the latest edition of the Banned from Ringside podcast, volume 315, chapter 3, verse 14. And the good smart say it, hashtag boo the heels. It's all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat the holy trinity of BFR. Now this week, your boy JCB has been on vacay from one of his jobs. It's been a good week and plenty of rest, plenty of wrestling getting in. I'm caught up, ready to talk some shit.
And out there in Portland, Oregon, fresh off of his vacation, we had 2 beers, 3 beers. Zach Pullman, what's going on? 3 beer.
BFR West in the house.
Oh, man. It's good to be back. Good to be sober. Both of us. And, yeah, that's John Moxley shit. You would have thought New Japan was having an advertisement for screaming on Peacock. It was wild.
I mean, it really did make me squeamish.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was making a joke at the beginning when I did on Tonight for Banned from Ringside, but we're covering the 3 big ones tonight, boys.
It's like the old days.
A lot to talk about. It was if I had to do it over again, I'd say that we're going to talk about a surprisingly newsworthy and very entertaining Money in the Bank pay-per-view, a couple John Moxley death matches, and AEW. Well, we had Collision, we had AEW Dynamite, we had all sorts of shit. We're coming at you from beautiful St. Charles, Missouri. At least Jason and I are, and let's just get this shit started. Let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, kick it off.
Let's start with the biggest story of the week. Obviously, we're going to start on Saturday afternoon around 2 o'clock Central Standard Time from London, England. The O2 Arena, jam-packed, raucous crowd, arguably one of the best crowds I've seen all year long. The Corrigan crowd on the weekend, I guess that was Tuesday, Wednesday, that's 1,500, and they were just as raucous, but we'll hold that off for another time. Obviously, we're going to talk Money in the Bank first. For me, the biggest story from Money in the Bank is something that didn't happen in the ring. Is John Cena, to me, was the biggest highlight, and I know you're a hater of John Cena, and I understand that, but to me, his segment, his announcement was something that I've kind of talked about a little bit, but I didn't think we would go this far to where we would talk about possibly having a WrestleMania in London. I think that I've always said that WWE should have gone back to England long before this. SummerSlam is one of the big ones that a lot of people talk about, and then obviously for memorable reasons, British Bulldog and Bret Hart being the main event in London, so it was a big fucking deal. And for whatever reason, and I think John Cena made a very good point about why they haven't come back. The crowd tries to take over. The rumors are the crowd tries to take over the show. They root for who they want to root for. Things along those lines. It's not what WWE or Vince, Triple H, whomever you want to put in that sentence, wants to put out there for their shows. And I get that. But for me, this is why I like London. This is why I like the European shows, because they have their own way of expressing their fandom. Whether I agree with it or not is totally different. And I'll let you jump onto this afterwards. One of my favorite WrestleManias was from Toronto. And Toronto was literally like England in this scenario where they booed The Rock to the point where The Rock literally had to flip heel in the middle of the match. This is the same thing with England, London, whatever you want to call it, the European branch of the world. I get what John Cena was saying, but for me, this was long overdue. It might not need to be WrestleMania, but one of the big four needed to go back to London at some point.
Okay, Zach, what do you think about the John Cena part of it?
It was funny because Triple H acted like he put him in a bad spot, like he was just ad-libbing.
Yeah, I know.
They didn't know he was going to go out there and say that.
It's like, come on.
What, was that in the press conference or whatever?
Yeah, Hunter. Go ahead, Zach. Yes, that's what he said.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, oh, yeah. It's a great show, but Cena really put us in a tough spot there. And, I mean, this is 100%, and this is 100% a result of All In. I mean, they would not be talking about going to London if Tony Khan like sold 60+ thousand tickets in Wembley Stadium. The only reason they're going back to London is so that they can try to break that gate or whatever, and just like answer to it. That's just the WWE playbook for competition. Them going to London for WrestleMania is the same thing as them putting NXT on Wednesday night. The same shit.
How'd that work out for him?
Tell him what he's telling lies.
I mean, they went to Cardiff because Cardiff paid them money. London is the number one tourist city in the entire country, or in the entirety of Europe. They're not going to pay them money to go. The only reason they would go back is just to compete with AEW.
Well, you know,
I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just that's just what it is.
Yeah, cool. I mean, competition is good. Let's get these motherfuckers competing. I don't know. I mean, I just really have to roll my eyes at the John Cena promo thing, talking about how I'm here because of you. I'm here. It's like another one of these fucking promos.
That's what he does, man.
John Cena just sucks the crowd's dick. It's like, get out of here, fucking doing his black preacher shit. Get out of here. Hit the bricks, John Cena. I thought Grayson Waller stole the segment.
That's the
Grayson
other
Waller
thing.
was great.
That's the other thing that I wanted to talk about was the Grayson Waller part.
I don't know how the country/continent of Australia feels about him making them the heel. But I mean, Grayson Waller looked completely comfortable in that segment.
I agree.
In a very big spot with a very big star. And I'm thinking, you know, the cultural critic Wesley Morris has this theory about certain guys getting market corrected, like in terms of like actors. Like they'll be like Rob Lowe and Andrew McCarthy. They kind of fill the same space in the 80s. And Andrew McCarthy came along first, and then Rob Lowe market corrected them and kind of took his drafted off of him and took over.
Bye-bye.
It looks to me like Grayson Waller is going to market correct Austin Theory because he brings everything to the table that Austin Theory does, and he's better at it. So that's just a little thought that I had while I was watching it. Anyway, the segment was fine. He obviously didn't put Triple H or WWE in a bad spot. John Cena's not going out there and ad-libbing that.
No, not that. No, hell no, not that.
You know, it certainly made the pay-per-view more newsworthy. The pay-per-view did not need any more juice, though, because the pay-per-view was plenty to talk about. Solid. And you know what? Just for the record, I'm for them having WrestleMania in England because then it'll start at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like my Saturday and Sunday
nights. To take off Saturday afternoon, be like, God damn it. That's fine. No, it's a perfect excuse for me to take off. I take off for Wrestle Kingdom. I'll just take off for WrestleMania Saturday. I don't have no problem with that. Let's start at the top of the card with the men's Money in the Bank. Damian Priest obviously winning the Money in the Bank match. I was kind of surprised that this was the curtain jerker, but I thought it was going to be the ladies. But either way, this was both. I thought Money in the Bank matches were good. I thought this is the better of the two, easily by far. The LA Knight teases were, even though I picked LA Knight, I just thought that this was going to be the time that they were going to pull the trigger. Obviously, London really, really behind LA Knight. As soon as he hit the scene, it was an LA Knight crowd. They ebbed and flowed with anything that anybody did to him. I mean, I'm not sure where this leaves LA Knight. Ultimately, I'm hearing rumors that he could take Austin Theory's U.S. title off of him. That would be a nice consolation prize, if anything. I think as much as I said that Becky Lynch, I picked Becky Lynch for the women's, even though, and my argument was she didn't really need it, but it would just kind of be a nice little, I guess,
the cap.
Yeah, fills out the resume a little more. Damian Priest doesn't need it either, but I think this was more so of giving him his flowers, I guess, for the last 4 months since his match with Bad Bunny in San Juan. That was kind of a major test to see if he could, carry the top of the card. Him and Seth Rollins obviously did a good job on Monday Night Raw. So now, all things given, I have no problem with Damian Priest having the Money in Bank. It gives more intrigue to a possible Judgment Day breakup. Damian Priest is legitimately someone that you could see in the ring that could beat Seth Rollins, that could beat Roman Reigns in a scenario where both have been beaten down. LA Knight, like I said, I think his time will come probably in the mid-card, which ultimately is a shame because I'm a big LA Knight fan. I liked him when he was Eli Drake, but I would say
you did. I remember that you were high on him when he was Eli Drake.
I would probably say they got this thing right ultimately. Damian Priest is probably deservingly more so of anybody else. LA Knight we all forget, now that he's gotten over with the crowd. When he first walked in the door, he got buried real quick by Bray Wyatt. Thank God we've all conveniently forgotten about that. But
what do you think of the win, the Damian Priest win?
Me?
Yeah, Zach, sorry.
No, that's fine. I was pleasantly surprised. I picked Logan Paul going into it, and I thought LA Knight was like a solid second choice. But I was pleasantly surprised. I think it's a good fit. Damian Priest does a good job, and I think he can hold on to it for a while. I'm just glad that he didn't cash in like that night or on Monday. I'm glad nobody cashed in yet. I get so fucking tired of them just ruining the stipulation and ruining the story.
Don't cash in on the mid-card title either. That's the next thing. That was the three things I didn't want to see. Don't cash in the night of, don't cash in the day after, and don't cash in for the mid-card title.
Yeah, absolutely. But the match was fantastic. The Logan Paul Ricochet spot was scary as hell. But the match overall was really good. I'd say the only thing better than watching a WWE pay-per-view on like a Saturday afternoon is watching it on a Sunday night on delay after you come home from vacation, sitting on your own damn couch, like a family vacation on your own damn couch with just yourself, and you haven't watched a TV in like a week, and you can just sit there and chill.
And then the curtain jerkers, the men's Money in the Bank, that is pretty nice.
It was. I was like, I had almost forgot because I just wasn't on my phone or on screens really at all. And I forgot about the pay-per-view, and I got home, and I was like, oh, all right, I'm sitting down on the couch. What am I going to do? I'm like, oh, shit. And I turn it on, and then it's like the men's Money in the Bank. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
It was good, and the match was awesome.
The match ruled. It was way fun. I'll just say this. We don't say this all the time. We talk about Friends of BFR. But if you are on Facebook and you're not in our Friends of BFR group, find Friends of BFR on Facebook and hit us up because we had a rollicking conversation there for the men's Money in the Bank match for sure. It dwindled off as people probably had stuff to do. It was 4th of July weekend. But Friends of BFR, it was a lot of fun to talk about. I'll go with the Ricochet Logan Paul. Well, let me go with Damian Priest first. For the record, I said that there was going to be some points moving around because we all had such different picks, but we all had Damian Priest third to win, so we all got 4 points for that. Damian Priest it's a cool pick. I was not disappointed with it. Once Logan Paul went through that table with Ricochet, I was like, well, he's out.
I was like, okay, is he okay? There's the first question. I mean, damn the kayfabe portion of the program. That was a scary spot where Logan Paul was going in head first. And when he hit that table, I was just like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean,
Jesus.
that spot was designed to take him out of the match and to head towards Ricochet versus Logan Paul.
Agreed.
At SummerSlam, which is cool. The LA Knight spots were perfect. I don't really mind that he didn't win because maybe he can get some of that Kofi / Bryan Danielson juice where like people are like, oh, well, this is the guy that we want to win, and they're not going to let him win, and then they should just hold off on him winning. And I think that he should go bigger than the mid card. I think he should go for the heavyweight belt at some time between now and WrestleMania. Maybe him versus Damian Priest at some time. So, just a yes or no question. Does Damian Priest cash in successfully?
I'll say yes.
I say yes also.
Yes, but it won't be on Roman.
No, I don't think it's going to be on Roman.
No, it'll be...
They're keeping him away from the Roman stuff. No, he'll cash in on Seth
in some form or fashion, whether he'll retain and then
right
he'll swoop in like the vulture.
Speaking of the Ricochet Logan Paul thing, though, like when they got onto that top rope and I saw Logan slip off, I was like, I probably said out loud, abort, like don't. Whatever you were thinking of trying, because it looked like they were both supposed to land on it like a tightrope.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be like one move, like land on a tightrope. And Logan Paul slipped, and I was like, no, don't do it, guys. Don't do it. And then they did it anyway.
I'm like, man, y'all motherfuckers. That SummerSlam match, if it is a SummerSlam match, is...
Yeah, they're going to pull out some shit.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
I mean, they're going to let Ricochet cook, which they do. But, like, the best Ricochet match that he's had since he's been in WWE was that NXT North American ladder match, that 6-man. I mean, when he was really, like, off the chain. And you know they're going to let him cook because there's going to be lots of eyes on that Logan Paul match.
No doubt.
Just because he's so famous.
No doubt.
But, Nakamura had a fun showing. Butch got his spot in, which was really cool. Butch was a fun addition to that. Butch is a cool character. Not surprising because Pete Dunne ruled, but Butch is actually quite a bit different than Pete Dunne was.
Pete Dunne didn't give a fuck, but he was just kind of like more, laissez-faire about it. Butch would just walk up on you and just start swinging.
I mean, but really though, as far as Money in the Bank matches go, I mean, this was an A+.
No, it was really good. It was better. I thought it was going to be good. It was better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Logan Paul and Ricochet added to not just being Ricochet alone. Logan Paul added to the spots, and then, like you said, newsworthy for multiple reasons. The second reason,
and it wasn't Lesnar and it wasn't Austin Theory.
Damian Priest won, and then you probably get Logan Paul, Ricochet out of it too. Next up, you had the women's tag team title match. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey. Surprise, I guess, is the word I'm using for this. I guess I'm seeing two things. I'll say this. Number one, when I gave Ronda Rousey the beef for last year for most overrated, now I feel more and more justified about this. Number two, if Ronda Rousey is actually going to go away and retire from WWE, this was a way to do it. It was a shock, and I don't think anybody will sit up here and say that it wasn't. It's not anything that's going to go memorable throughout the annals of time. I just wish there was more of a tease to it, something that you can kind of work around it, because it just felt all of a sudden from right field. I like it. I just wish you'd have teased more about it. Shayna attacks Ronda Rousey, leaves her in the win. The fact that it was Liv and Raquel were kind of laughing about this shit, I was kind of laughing too, because I was like, man, that's kind of fucked up. They over there laughing while this bitch is getting ready to get bounced around. Obviously, Liv and Raquel take advantage. They win the match and regain the tag team titles. So obviously, we will have some sort of match probably at SummerSlam. Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey. Nothing to say much on this past that. You guys got it from here.
Zach, what you think?
Yeah, I was surprised. I couldn't really give two shits about the match, and then I saw, I was just like, oh, this is just Shayna and Ronda. I think it might have even been a Stone Cold Blood Fight block of the week. And,
See, there should be a penalty for that. If we're going to put a Stone Cold lead pipe, and I'm not saying you should get it, but when we reset it, at some point,
We should do a.
if we put a Stone Cold lead pipe lock of the week on anything, you should get the point for getting it. But if you miss it, you should get -1, 2 points, something like that.
No, more than that.
Okay, well, whatever. I'm just saying.
It's got to be like a real penalty.
5.
10.
you can't jerk off for like 48 hours.
Whoa, hey, man, what the hey. Damn.
This is lazy. I mean, like, yeah, it was shocking because there was nothing at all that led up to it. Do I want to see Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey? At least they'll be able to tell a story, but it didn't sound like they had a story ready to go because the Raw promo was like, oh, well, okay, so she overshadowed you. It's like that one. But then why'd you win the tag belt with her?
NXT champ for.
In the Observer, he said that Ronda Rousey has like a hard out date, and she's like going to be out and done with WWE, and the whole plan was for them to have like a slower build of this, but she broke her arm, and so they still just wanted to run with it. But
well,
yeah, that's pretty much the main thing.
Certainly makes Raquel and Liv look like strong champions. So good job there, guys.
You ain't shit. Next up, you had Matt Riddle versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. I almost feel bad for Matt Riddle at a certain point. He's a name that it has some credibility, but ultimately, without Randy Orton and him taking a little hiatus to get his shit together, he has come back and not been anywhere near as hot as he once was. Once again, there was a time where he was pitted up against Roman Reigns, obviously not to win, but that plus Randy felt like Matt Riddle had a higher ceiling than what he has right now. Feels like now he's hitting that said ceiling. Gunther wins, but the bigger story coming out of this was obviously the return of Drew McIntyre. He takes out Gunther to set up what possibly is going to be an Intercontinental Championship match at SummerSlam. Gunther versus Drew McIntyre. We always talked about who was going to be the one to beat Gunther. Drew McIntyre obviously seems like a credible choice. I'm not saying it's the obvious choice because he wasn't around for a little bit. I'm sure we said it or somebody said it between the three of us. If we didn't, then shame on all three of us. But the match wasn't even the story. The story was post-match.
Zach, what'd you think?
Yeah, Matt Riddle right now is just kind of like in that Cesaro role. He's just a guy that you can beat, and he'll give you good matches, and the fans are still gonna like him, so they're just gonna keep beating him. But it's whatever. I'm not mad about it. It's just where he's at. But the match was fine. I thought it'd be a little bit better just because Riddle's really good and Gunther's awesome. There was a spot in there where I fucking loved just at the very end whenever he chopped his foot before he put him in the leg lock. Oh, that was so good. I don't know if McIntyre will take it. I almost think it's just another obstacle for Gunther to overcome. It's a really great match. It's going to be real good. But,
it shall slap. Literally and figuratively.
When we think of the match when we think of signature Gunther matches before he came to the main roster, it's him versus little guys. And those are the ones they always rule, but Dragunov and Tyler Bate.
Pete Dunne.
Those are the matches that we think about him with. But we've seen him face at least one big guy in a one-on-one match when he faced Drew McIntyre at our Sheamus at Clash in the Castle, and that was a match of the year candidate. And then he had the WrestleMania match versus both of them. Fuck yeah. Obviously, the goal is here because I think that Drew is going to take it off of him. I think the goal is to keep Gunther strong by losing to somebody strong rather than transfer that heat to somebody who's less established than him because Drew McIntyre is a big, big star. So, to John Q. Public watching wrestling, they're going to see that as completely believable because Drew McIntyre is a badass.
No doubt there. Next up, you had the notorious DOM, Dominic Mysterio versus one Cody Rhodes. This is where I thought, obviously, and I said it last week, where we would see Brock Lesnar. No Brock Lesnar, so that meant Cody Rhodes basically rode, and it felt like he rode over Dominic Mysterio. Crowd obviously hot for heat on Dom from the time he walked in to basically the time he walked out. But this was a match that I had higher expectations for the match itself and what could possibly happen post-match. I won't say it's the low point of the night, but it definitely, for me, I guess it's for my own fault because I had higher expectations for what was going to happen post-match. The match itself was fine. The post-match, like I said, that's on me for having thoughts of them putting the Brock Lesnar connecting the dots the night of versus the night after, but neither here nor there.
Zach.
I'm sure it went something like this, which was like, Brock, we want you to come to London for Money in the Bank. And he's like, I'll see you in Baltimore Monday.
As far east as I'm going, dude.
Yeah, exactly. But this was fantastic heat, which we expected. The crowd was great overall throughout the whole show, and this is like a high point for the crowd, which is understandable because Cody's probably the most popular babyface in the company right now, and Dom's the most hated heel. So it made perfect sense. But the match was like just a good like TV match. It was fine.
I give it, I'm a little higher on it than you guys. I thought it was kind of a popcorn match really in the middle of a popcorn pay-per-view, man. I mean, this pay-per-view was fun, and this was a really fun part right in the middle of it. It was exactly what it should have been. It was about 8 minutes. Dom played the chicken shit heel. Cody got to look like he was getting annoyed, and then when they really had to wrestle, Cody put him down. And that is what you expect from a guy going from Rey Mysterio's kid to Brock.
Shit. No argument there. Next up, you had the women's Money in the Bank. Obviously, we talked about John Cena. Women's Money in the Bank was next up. Io Sky wins here. I didn't understand the handcuff spot until the handcuff spot came into play at the end, where Io handcuffs Becky and Bayley at the bottom of the ladder to climb over those two, which was, I was going to say chef's kiss as far as I was concerned. I didn't understand it, like I said, at first, because Becky got away, and I'm thinking, okay, she's running around here, with a cuff on her arms, she's dragging Bayley down with, the exposed part of this shit. This just doesn't make sense. And then finally the payoff came, and I was like, well, goddamn, it made Io get the receipt on Bayley from Bayley pushing Io off the top, where clearly there was already friction coming in, and I was just kind of waiting to see where Bayley would come in to give Io the shaft, so to speak. Good for Io to get that back. I don't think there was really many standouts here. There was, good, spots, not great. Trish was okay. Zoe Stark should have stood out a little more, didn't. Io did what she was supposed to do, but she was the star of the show, essentially, and she won the match. From that point, spinoffs, obviously, Becky and Trish is a spinoff there. Bayley is going to have some problem with Io winning. We'll probably see that on Friday night in the weeks to come, but Io Sky finally gets her flowers on the main roster. She probably should have got it in some form or fashion when Damage Control first came on the scene a year ago at SummerSlam, and that, for whatever reason, I'll let you guys fill in the blank on that. That never worked out, but now Io's finally getting her spot on the main roster to get a shot at either Asuka or Rhea. I mean, both would be interesting prospects. Rhea and Io have NXT ties. Io Asuka could be a dream match that you wouldn't expect. So good for Io. I think that obviously, once again, the right call was made, and we'll see how it plays out going forward.
Zach, what do you think?
Match was okay. The finish was fantastic. It was really creative. Love that, and I love that Io won. That was super cool to see. The crowd really like Io wherever she is. I think it's a great pick, and I just kind of hope she holds on to it for a little while. She's good. I also think that she should not be one that cashes in unsuccessfully either, especially because of how hot she is with the crowd.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Io Sky is a great pick. Last week when we did our picks, I had Zelina Vega first. Both of you guys had Zelina Vega last. And my reasoning for that was because Zelina Vega was so over in Puerto Rico. The problem with that type of thinking is that somebody else was super over in Puerto Rico, and it was Io fucking Sky. What was I thinking? God damn it.
I didn't want to say anything, but now that you go bringing shit up.
The match really benefited from any 6 of those women could have won, and it wouldn't have been entirely shocking. Any one of them, even Zoe Stark.
Zelina would have been shocking.
Zelina wouldn't have been shocking to me because she's over as a babyface. Zoe Stark wouldn't have been shocking. Becky and Bayley, of course, and Trish. It's like you can see them doing something stupid like that. They really benefit from that. It was a fun match, and I'll just echo everybody else that I've read or heard talk about this match is that it was a fucking really creative finish, and it was a really fun finish, and to have Io literally climbing over Bayley to go get it,
Perfect.
That's Shakespearean. Like, literally Shakespearean. That's something that Shakespeare would have written.
Okay, let me step on your head,
Shakespeare.
motherfucker. Bitch.
Shakespeare. That's definitely Shakespeare.
That's great. Next up, you had Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Finn Balor kind of on a roll coming into this. Not even saying on a roll, just jumping. Seth Rollins getting damaged as we've gone along. So Seth coming in with banged up ribs, but now the specter of Damian Priest lies over the match itself. Obviously, he comes out where it distracts Seth Rollins. Finn takes advantage of it, but then Damian Priest distracts Finn at the top before the coup de grace. Seth takes advantage to get the win. And we see Finn and Damian Priest argue as the match ends post-match. I thought this was good for Finn. I've always thought Finn was a main event kind of guy. You just needed the right opponent against him. You couldn't have him against Brock Lesnar and have people realistically accept that as a match that could have Finn be in this match. But you could have this match coming in where you had Finn Balor jumping Seth Rollins at any given point, whether it's on main roster, NXT, or otherwise, and then he's taking advantage of those injuries in this match to where now there was a point where I was like, is this getting ready to happen? I was like, no, I ain't going, oh shit, this might happen. So even me watching it after the fact, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I was certain that Seth was going to win, but they at least gave me points where I was doubting myself. And that's all you could ask for that from Finn Balor. Seth just got this title. Like I said, for me, it's just going to be a minute. But the match itself, I thought was good to where you capitalize on the build leading up to it. You made Finn look strong. And if you wanted to run it back, you have at least a quote-unquote out because Damian Priest distracts Finn. If you didn't have that, you could arguably say that Finn had the advantage throughout the match. Obviously, Seth has his moments, but Finn Balor was at least in a position to win that match. So you can run it back or you can give Seth somebody fresh moving forward. It's how they want to play it.
Zach, what do you think?
One thing that is very nice about these WWE pay-per-views since Triple H took over is how breezy they are. They never overstay their welcome. They're 3.5 hours, easy breezy. It's like a takeover, but without like that level of match quality. And they also do them every month, so it's a little bit different. But I will say I would have sacrificed a little breeziness to have this match go a little longer. They did about all they could do in the time that they were given, but for a World Heavyweight Championship match, I kind of went into this, and maybe it's just expectations. If I see an IWGP World Heavyweight match, like that should go in 25 minutes, right? It's just for sure going 25 minutes. I went into this kind of thinking the same thing, and they got like 15. Just like a very different match. This could have been a TV match, and it was great. And they, as far as like the work, they're both phenomenal. But I was just maybe expecting more. Money in the Bank is like a kind of it's WrestleMania and like the Big Four, like S tier. It's like an A tier pay per view. I just thought we'd get a little more out of a main event like this, especially. And I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, like leading into the main event. Pretty much all that mattered in the main event was like the last 10 minutes anyway. You could have cut 20 minutes out of that shit and would have the same amount of impact.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you just said. They never really got out of second gear, and these two guys are capable of so much more. So maybe they made the decision, hey, if we're only getting this much time, let's hold something back, because I have to think they're going to be involved with each other at SummerSlam in some capacity. I mean, SummerSlam's the next pay-per-view, right?
Correct.
It's like, what, beginning of August?
Nah, I think they said 5 weeks, so it feels like mid-August, towards the end of August. Whatever, I was going to say the 22nd feels like it's right.
You're telling me there's no Great Balls of Fire?
There's no Great Balls of Fire this year. Sorry, we're skipping that this year.
Bring Vince back.
Speaking of bring Vince back, main event time. You had the Usos versus Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, the Bloodline Civil War. I'm not going to be that harsh like Three Beers said about you can skip the first 20 minutes of this match and just skip to the last 10. Obviously, the last 10 are the most critical and very intriguing, but I thought the first part of it, leads to Solo and Roman, their first, double tag team move that goes awry. Solo Sikoa, kind of shaking Roman up. Just, the first time we've seen Roman actually have true vulnerability after, the Usos double team him. Solo has to actually be like, hey, motherfucker, get your ass up, get up so we can, fight these jokers off. And then, obviously, you had the four guys fighting in the middle of the ring. I never thought that it would – I said before that if Roman Reigns didn't defend the title at SummerSlam, this is where I would have a problem with it. I would have never guessed they would win Jey Uso, but now after this, seeing how it plays out, seeing how London erupted, how I was like, oh, okay, now I see where you're going with it. It all makes sense. Obviously, the Usos win the match. I won't say it was the best match of the night, but it was the match that made me think the most. It made me invest towards the end where you can kind of see the big crack, not even from the bloodline anymore, but the first crack of Roman Reigns. They made a big deal about, him not being pinned in 3.5 years before the match even started. Quiet as kept, Jey Uso was one of the first guys to pin Roman Reigns coming into the main roster. So there's a lot of, I guess, history, for lack of a better term, with these two. And now you've come with this full circle where now Jey Uso may not be the biggest babyface in the company, but he's damn sure the biggest babyface on SmackDown right now, because now you can see him having a legitimate, argument for having Roman Reigns and a title match at SummerSlam. If that's where to go, I think that's where they're going to go. To me, this was a Jey Uso reminder of, hey, motherfuckers, I'm, main event Jey Uso, and I'm getting ready to have a great match with Roman Reigns here in like 4 weeks.
Zach, what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, really good storytelling. I will have to say I'm going to out myself here. This is pretty funny, but with the context that I grew up in an era of wrestling, and also been a fan of wrestling for a long time, so I've been lied to a lot about little things. I just realized on Sunday, July 2nd, at about 7 p.m., that Solo Sikoa was actually the Usos' brother. I thought for sure he was just, like, in the family or whatever, and they were just like, oh, yeah, he's a brother, but no, like, he's 100% of their brother. And then I look at him, and I'm like, oh, yeah, he looks just like Rikishi. I'm an idiot. Anyway.
That's the first time you realized that?
Yep. I mean, I thought they were just lying, because they lie. I get lied to all the time. So,
it is WWE. They do lie.
You also do a wrestling podcast.
Oh, God, yeah. So I do a wrestling podcast every week. I subscribe to
No, motherfucker, don't say every week.
Yeah, well, most weeks. I read the Wrestling Observer newsletter most weeks. Anyway, yeah, pretty funny. But so the match was good. I really liked, like I said, the last 10 minutes where he did the thing where he stacked them, and it was just reminiscent of who was that, Edge and Daniel Bryan that he did that to?
WrestleMania.
Yeah. And that pop, whenever they both kicked out, was so good. And I mean, they did all the right things. Like, they had Jay pin him. It was just everything they did right. I also think that the spike and spear is a great combo finisher. I kind of want to see more of them in tag teams, but Roman doesn't wrestle that often. I think that's a really great finisher. Very surprised that he kicked out of that, but yeah, overall, very fun end to the pay-per-view.
Yep. Head last. I mean, it was very good. It's obviously it's a good story. I mean, I'm into it. I just don't know. I don't know how much more there is to say about it. It's like, okay, yeah, it's good. Let's get to Jay versus Roman. Can Jay take it off of Roman at SummerSlam?
If you're gonna make me say yes or no, I'm gonna say no. I've always been bullish about Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania at 40 next year. I'm just gonna stick to it. It's gonna be a great match. It's gonna be psychology out of the ass. It'll be going back to the early pandemic days when we didn't have wrestling, and then all of a sudden they dropped this little nugget into us. So now you'll have that history behind it, the bloodline history behind it. A hot Detroit crowd. Yeah, I mean, it'll probably be the main event.
Oh, yeah, it'll be the main event.
Okay, so yeah. Yeah, I'm down for it.
The main event.
I mean, look, I'm trying to give.
When's the last time Roman wrestled and it wasn't the main event?
I'm trying to give Seth Rollins his just desserts as the other quote unquote world heavyweight champion. But yeah, I would be stunned if it wasn't Roman as the main event versus Jey Uso. So in that scenario, yeah, I'm excited for it. I know who's going to win, but I'm excited to see how it happens.
So before I forget, here's the points for the pay-per-view. Coming in third place for the second week in a row, we have Jason Cornelius Bell with 11 points.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Coming in second place with 11 points, Bill Vagey.
Hey, man.
And then Three Beer Zach came in first with 12 points.
Hey, man. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
If we got the same amount of points, how am I coming in third?
It's my notebook.
Oh, okay. So if I wrote it in this notebook, I would come in second?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll talk. Why don't you give it a grade? Zach, what's your letter grade for the pay-per-view?
Bill just outed himself as the kid who would never give up the controller when playing video games at his house. It was his house.
Yeah, I was about to say, dude, you lost.
How come you never have to? How come you never have to?
It's my house, dude. I'm not giving it up.
Letter grade, I'd go B+.
I got a B+.
I was just going to say the same thing. It's sad that we all agree upon it, but I think this was at least I'll speak for myself. I thought it was a pay-per-view that hit the marks. And
didn't you get Forbidden Door like a C?
Dude, eat a dick. Don't be mad because Royal Rumble sucked. Okay, D minus.
You always go lower than that. You always go lower than this. Okay.
What did I just say? B plus.
That's going to do it for our 2 count. Or for our 3 count.
My Lord, have mercy.
Let's get to that 2 count.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Stop fucking with me, okay? Get your shit together.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
2 beer. What's the 2 count?
2 count. Man, there's a lot of AEW on TV this week. There was the 99th episode of Rampage, I guess.
Yes.
But not too much on there. If you think that you should go out of your way to watch Claudio versus Commander, which sounds like it's something you should go out of your way for, it was just kind of fine. So don't bother or do. I don't know how much time you got.
If you're a Commander fan, knock yourself out. Go out and watch the match. If you aren't, it's a skippable match to go ahead and not watch, essentially.
Yeah, it seemed very unskippable for me, and then I was like, well, shit. I'm glad I was watching this while I was working. So, anyway, Collision, so the Saturday night show. And, man, this one was a little rough. I don't know if it was just a bad crowd, because, like, the Saturday to Wednesday, so Saturday was, I guess, in Hamilton, and Wednesday was in Edmonton. Edmonton crowd, absolutely killer for that Dynamite show. This Hamilton crowd either sucked or they just weren't mic'd right. It sounded like an Impact show or something.
Did you hear that,
like
Hamilton?
Damn!
You hear what Zach's saying? He's saying, come find me.
He didn't say that. That's your motherfucker.
He's talking to Ontario, the entire province.
Jesus
Christ.
Christ.
Is Hamilton in Ontario?
Yeah.
Nobody's coming to find me. Like they're up there with their free healthcare and their nice number, and they're not coming into this like global hellhole, the United States of America.
I mean, they just got a point there.
Unless they're really anxious to do gigs like gig economy or get shot. So
You ain't shit, dog. You ain't shit.
I think it's a funny idea to have Zach just run down the U.S. while I hum God Bless America in the background. On this fucking hellhole with our fucking Nazis,
right?
And our fucking Fox News, and our fucked up healthcare center.
Have some fireworks in the background, like 5. You know somebody's got some fireworks left. You know somebody's gonna be shooting them here in like 5 or 10 minutes. That's some funny shit.
Yeah. No, they're all at my fucking neighbor's house, and fucking blowing them off the past few days. Even though it's illegal here in Portland, they don't give a fuck. There's no cops. Like,
Dude.
Anyway, just a lawless. It's anarchy. Anyway,
Good thing you moved there.
so the MJF beat a jobber. Ethan Page came out and had like a pretty good promo, like that he cut on MJF. Very fiery, maybe a little too fiery. Delivery and stuff wasn't, but it was very solid. He was a hometown boy, and they wrestled. But again, I just don't think after the promo, which the crowd got behind because he was like from like Hamilton, and he was like talking about his dad worked at the plant down the road and stuff. Really, kind of the whole story of this show was just it was just kind of there, and the crowd just made it seem like it was like I said last week, I hope that Collision won't be this, but if Dynamite is Nitro, it has a lot of comparisons. Like Collision seems like Thunder, which is not a good comparison. So,
What's Rampage?
I don't know when you Saturday night main event.
Yeah,
which
right.
is actually Saturday night main event was better than Rampage.
Dude, I mean, don't get me started about that. I want to get a Saturday night main event shirt.
Sorry, not main event. WCW Saturday night. Remember, it had the cool like the doors that like open like robotic like metal doors.
Right.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
It would always have like the Steven Regal would always wrestle. Anyway, I'll talk about that show for 3 hours if you let me. So I'll stop.
It was cool seeing Ethan Page show what he can do as a babyface, and it was cool that the crowd was behind him. This is some house shows shit though. Like when the hometown guy comes out and gets a title shot out of nowhere and then just loses clean. It's like, I mean, that is a house show move if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
But it was fun because I didn't expect Ethan Page to come out, and I definitely was watching it intently. I was like, well, this is different. But yeah, it was all right.
Connected the dots. Ethan Page and MJF had history and all that stuff, but I don't know. For me, as an Ethan Page fan, it just frustrated me. You literally saw in the promo he had beforehand what he can do, and then, like you said, he ends up losing clean as a whistle
to the champ
that beats most with some fuckery in some form or fashion.
Yeah,
but you're beating Ethan Page clean. All right, man.
Well, ain't that's why it's a house show shit. That's because Ethan Page ain't that big of a deal. I mean, we're agreeing.
Yeah, ultimately, that's where I'm going with it. Now, TK just basically stamped the fact that, for me, Ethan Page has hit his ceiling. This is who he is. Expect no more.
When I was in high school on the freshman basketball team, there was a guy on my team, not going to say his name, but he sat at the end of the bench with me. But he sat a little bit further down the end of the bench.
Damn.
He didn't even get in garbage time, right?
Damn.
He used to come out during the first half and not wear his jersey under his jacket because we had, like, basketball jackets that he'd wear because he was so sure that he wouldn't go in the first half that if they told him to go in, he would take off his jacket and he wouldn't have his shirt on. It was pretty funny. Anyway, that guy had his dad was the coach of another team, and for that one game when we played the other team, our coach started him, and he was like, "I just wish he. I didn't want him to start me." That's how I feel like about them giving Ethan Page the title shot. It's like
okay,
he was in Hamilton.
No, I get it, and that's completely fair. Okay, like I said, for me as a fan, it was the double whammy. It's that plus the fact he loses clean. That's you don't have enough respect for. Ethan Page to have MJF pull out the diamond ring and, blast him in the face or, put the feet on the ropes. It's just, I'm beating you flat out, no problem intended. And as soon as the match was over, it's like, damn, that's it? And that's the way I felt. So, for me, disappointing. Anybody else, take it for what it's worth.
All right, what was next? All right, what else you want to talk about?
Yeah, just to highlight of the Owen Hart tournament. So Powerhouse Hobbs beat Dustin Rhodes, and pretty good little match. Of course, Rhodes bled, but overall, 10 minutes. Rhodes did some, he can still go for being in his 50s, but mostly this was a foregone conclusion. I did like the story that Rhodes was the only person to actually know Owen Hart and be friends with him in the tournament, so has a reason why he's in there and why he's fighting for it. But I don't know if you guys have anything to say about this.
Nope, it was fun.
Right guy went over.
Yeah. So another of the matches was Ricky Starks beat Juice Robinson, and this is kind of like Ricky Starks finally getting his comeuppance for getting beat up every single week by Bullet Club Gold for a long, long time. And also not surprising here, I think the right guy went over. But pretty solid 15-minute match, and, there's not really much reaction from the crowd here, even with kind of the popularity of Ricky Starks and, these guys both being good. So I don't know if you guys have anything more to add for that.
Not really.
No, just, I was very concerned that Ricky Starks wasn't going to win this match, I'll be honest. I mean, his booking since Jericho has been inconsistent, and that's being nice. So, yeah, it was good to see him at least advance to the next round. And then from that point, we'll see what happens.
I don't want to get too much in the minutia of the show, but there was a very funny segment where Sean Spears interrupts a Christian Cage interview, and Christian Cage has got the belt on his shoulder, and this is just a very fun gimmick. And Sean Spears is like, hey, I want to talk to the champ. And Christian steps in front of Luchasaurus, holding the belt, and he's like, looks him in the eyes, and he's like, then talk to the champ. Just great. Great stuff.
And then at the end, he was like, all right, then I'll see you later. And he looks past Christian, and Luchasaurus is like, champ. And then he dips. As much as I didn't like it, I agree with you. The fact that Christian Cage is just hell bent. I'm the champ. I don't care what happened, what this, the official record states. I'm the champ. I got the belt. You're going to at least deal with me. I want to see, and I was thinking about this as it was going along, I could see like Christian defending against Shawn Spears, but against somebody, that could be a credible threat. Luchasaurus is going to be the one that has to wrestle. So that way it's almost a free bird rule, but just between those two guys. Shawn Spears is not going to win the TNT title. We can all agree upon that, whether it's Luchasaurus or Christian. Now, if you bring Wardlow back, now you're going to have Christian make a business decision. I don't want no part of that. Luchasaurus, go over there and get this motherfucker.
Doesn't Shawn Spears walking around still doing the 10 gimmick like in 2023, a gimmick that didn't get over in WWE main roster and really hasn't gotten over at AEW? I mean, it's like the guy that still goes to the high school parties when he's a sophomore in college. It's like
it's Billy Madison. It's Billy Madison.
It's kind of sad, dude.
It's Billy Madison, dog. He pulled up. He pulled up. Was like everybody's like, "What the fuck are you doing, man?"
Anyway, I hope Shawn Spears doesn't hear that because I don't want to hurt his feelings. He seems like a cool guy.
I think he's just probably reminding everybody of how hot his wife is by saying she's a 10. 10. Oh, 10.
His wife is Peyton Royce, right?
Yeah.
God dang it. That's nice for him.
Yeah. So, moving on, we had some other stuff, but then we had Samoa Joe and Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong has been booked very strong since his return, or since his debut, but returned to wrestling after being absent from NXT for a long time. But he did not give up. He did not submit, but he did vault a defeat at the hands of Samoa Joe through referee stoppage. Punk was on commentary for this. It was kind of funny because even though the whole idea is that either guy could win. Punk on commentary is pretty much just talking about Joe most of the time, and you're like, oh yeah, Joe's probably going to win. we kind of assumed, but that really kind of solidified it. They had a fine match. Again, just pretty solid, suffered from some crowd reaction, but I think that it would have been good they're going to have this match like next week. They've got all this ROH footage. I don't know, like,
stole my thunder.
I don't want to do the Impact thing where you just like show the old matches, but like it's Punk versus Joe. These are like classics. Just show the old match, like to build the match, right? That would be awesome. That'd be better than
Rampage or Collision. That'd be better than any of it.
Stole my thunder.
Yeah,
I mean, because they have a crazy trilogy of matches that I was able to find on YouTube, but I watched them all. I think in the pandemic, I think I did because I read about them or something.
What else are we gonna do?
Yeah, but they're fucking awesome matches. So looking forward to this. I'll say this about Punk being on commentary. He may get booed some places, but that motherfucker is playing a babyface. That was a babyface on commentary. That was not heel commentary.
Agreed.
So he is presenting himself as a babyface, which I think is a mistake, just like it's a mistake that he is not immediately in a program with the Elite. You fucking babies. Put your shit aside and go make some money and give the fans what they want. You fucking babies. I'm talking to everybody. Except for Ace Steel, who had the fucking balls to bite somebody.
Okay. I'll fuck you up over this motherfucker. Give me this leg.
We've all got an Ace Steel in our lives.
I do.
And most of the time we're thankful for him.
Thanks for biting that leg, dog. I appreciate you getting me off that motherfucker.
Joe did come off like a monster here because then he brutalized Roderick Strong with a chair.
Yeah,
which,
he brutalized him because CM Punk yelled at him from the commentary, "I'm not impressed."
Okay. I got something for you here. Take that. Roger Strong catches strays.
I know, man. That's what happened. He started beating up an unconscious man.
Really lame because, like, he says, I'm not impressed. Like, Roderick Strong's one of the best wrestlers in the world. He's like, I'm not impressed that you just admitted, like, this guy who's undefeated in the company.
You know what? I didn't even think about that. That's a really good point. He buried fucking Roderick Strong, and
He
then
did.
got his ass beat.
Okay. I was getting ready to say, and somebody else said this, and we can move on to Dynamite if you want to. Adam Cole, baby, being in the ring after the fact when Roddy was getting put on the stretcher. I didn't think of it then, but then when somebody said it on Twitter saying it was a mistake that they were all on the screen at the same time, I gotta tend to agree with it.
There's a story coming though,
Right, and
between Roderick Strong and Adam Cole.
That too. I was going with Adam Cole, baby, and CM Punk.
Oh, I think that the part on Dynamite, jumping ahead, but where Roderick Strong's like, I'm fine, but he's wearing like a neck brace.
He's like, say, yeah, you fine, motherfucker.
Like fucking Rodney Dangerfield back there. He's like, I'm okay. Dude.
Sit your ass down.
I'm fine. I just need a divorce.
Yeah, right. But it's like, even Roderick Strong's like, well, you're going to go hang out with MJF? What the fuck? He's like, yeah, and then like he had a good time at the birthday party. They're telling a story. Roderick Strong is going to be part of that story somehow, and I'm here for it. But sorry, going back to Roderick Strong versus Joe, I've been saying this for a long fucking time. When in NXT, when Roderick Strong would have big matches, Roderick Strong fucking rules. He kind of reminds me of almost reminds me. Now, wait with me here. I'm getting somewhere.
Shit.
He kind of reminds me of Benoit because it's like as much as he tries to have a personality, his personality is just kind of angry guy. When he's in the ring, like the guy just really is devoid of personality. But technically, he fucking rules. He'll just never be as big of a star as Adam Cole, baby, because Adam Cole, baby's got charisma for days.
3 Beer, I'm going to let you enter your joke here if you want to before you go to Dynamite.
No, I'll leave it alone. I will say the highlight of is Kevin Kelly. He's so good. And I love that me not having a joke is...
It's the bigger joke than the actual joke itself.
And really looking for it next week. We got Punk versus Joe and Starks versus Hobbs. They both have history. So, that sets up like a good show. So, I just hope they're in a better city than Hamilton, Ontario. Come find me.
There we go. That's my boy. Seriously, CM Punk versus Samoa Joe in a match that counts for something, though? That's pretty good TV.
I'm down for it. Yeah, I was going to say, I know my Wrestling Gordon Sayer high five time is probably salivating at the thought of this happening. So, yeah, I think this is going to be – I always thought it would be Punk versus Hobbs. I'm going to still stick to that. From that point, I'm not going to say who wins that match because, you got CM Punk in the final. It's going to be hard for me to see CM Punk not winning that and then spinning off of that. If Powerhouse Hobbs wins, I'll be the first in line to grab a spoonful of shit needed, but I got to see it first.
Yeah, Punk Hobbs was my pick from the beginning as well. So, all right. So, Dynamite opened up with this blind eliminator tag team tournament, which is basically Battle Bowl, but spread out over different weeks on TV, and it's pretty good. Even though we don't know all of the teams, it's been pretty good. I'm kind of into it. A lot of tournaments happening, so there is that. Having like multiple tournaments happening at once is a little confusing, but there's a lot of television to get through. Tournaments are fun. This one had Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin, who have also like teamed in the past, so they got so wild that they're thrown together, and then we have
Well, yeah, at least they were
AEW
facing guys that have never teamed together.
Never been together. Yeah.
Dare I
And
say
the
win the
former
tag
tag
titles
champ.
at any point.
Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. But this was very fun. This was the best Keith Lee has looked since ever in AEW. All of these guys are just absolutely fantastic. I think specifically Darby and Swerve are probably each other's best opponents. I've seen them wrestle in Defy. They're just absolutely phenomenal. Orange Cassidy is good every week. This was such a departure from, like I said, the crowd with this match. This just felt like an A show right off the bat, and I really love this. Lots of back and forth with Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, which, Jesus fucking Christ, are we ever going to get a match between those two? This thing has been building since they lost the tag titles, and we've had multiple champions since then. But overall, yeah, really good.
I don't even know where to start, honestly. To me, Keith Lee is the focal point for before the match, and then after the match, you got Darby Allin. When's the real Keith Lee gonna stand up? Type shit. I don't think Keith Lee has. This is the best he's looked. I think this is maybe the healthiest he's been. And then you got guys that are willing to sell for him, where you got Darby, gunning himself, getting flung from one side to the ring to the other. So I'm not going to sit up here and say that Keith Lee, this is his high watermark, so to speak. I think part of it is booking, part of it the fact that he hasn't been healthy. So, I mean, I'm not going to, and the fact that we've been waiting for a payoff for Swerve and Keith Lee for God knows how long. So for me, a lot of this is, it's good to see him being presented the way we all thought he could be, should be, but I don't necessarily sit up here and say that this is his best moment since he's came in AEW. That's crazy talk to me.
It's the best that he's looked in ring. I think it's his best moment. It's just like he looks like
still crazy
healthier.
talk. So you're going to say since he's walked in the door, this is the best he's looked?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. He pulled some Ali Shelley on me. Yep.
Okay, I'm going to say something that you might not expect from me because I'm not the biggest Keith Lee fan.
Mm-mm.
But if you're going to push Keith Lee, and because, listen, the guy looks like a main eventer. He wrestles like a main eventer. He's kind of a weird dude. I don't know if you've ever heard an interview with him. Like, he is a strange dude. But,
what, non-wrestling?
Yeah, his shoot style. If you ever hear an interview with him, he is weird. But listen, he's not getting any younger. He's not getting any smaller. So if you're going to have that guy main event, I would like to see a Keith Lee MJF feud. I wouldn't mind seeing them in a program together.
Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room that...
That's who we're talking about.
No, the other elephant in the room. The CM Punk bag that's gotten referenced in the last, I guess, in this AEW circle. It's been referenced about this bag, what is in the bag that CM Punk has. If this is going to be a second title, then now we can start talking about Keith Lee in this mix of being a second world championship. If this is going to be a brand split, it feels like, it's always coming back to, I can't remember who said something about, somebody said, what you have in this bag, Punk, I'm interested in it. Jay White, that's who it was. Okay. Jay White said it on Collision. So now, it's either we're going to have two champions and we're going to do a soft brand split, or we're going to ultimately get to a unification bout where it's going to be Punk versus MJF. I don't care how you do it. But if you're going to have this quote-unquote soft brand split, now Keith Lee's in play. If you don't, then Keith Lee is just fodder for MJF. And how you do that is is fuckery the way you should have did it with Ethan Page.
What if Punk has like his version of the FTW belt? It's called
stop
like,
it.
It's called like the straight edge belt.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And you have to blow in a breathalyzer.
Speaking of straight edge, give me this shit.
Every single day for the last month, for the month before the match, you got to be clean. That's a straight edge belt. Just make up another belt. That's what Taz did. And now his kid's going to defend it.
It gets hide from that 70s show.
Jungle Boy should just come in with the 90210 belt. He's like, hey, this is my belt.
Hell no.
My dad gave me this belt.
Hell no. You ain't shit. God damn.
It's not a belt.
You ain't shit. Go ahead, Zach, man. Take the wheel, man. Please. Lord have mercy.
So again, I don't want to talk about every little thing here, but we'll talk about this video package because Darby Allin talking about Nick Wayne, and I know everybody like on this podcast has seen Nick Wayne wrestle. Nick Wayne is an absolute prodigy. So for those of you guys who are listening who have not seen him wrestle, just Google Nick Wayne. This guy's out having like phenomenal matches in his teenage years. Like this kid would like go to high school and then he would go be an absolute superstar on the weekend. He's gonna be a superstar, and we're gonna get to see like the beginning. He could be like the next Osprey.
Stole my thunder.
That's fucking good. And we're getting to see him from literal teenage years. Totally wild. So I'm very excited to see what they're gonna do. They're going to have him wrestling Swerve, who he's already wrestled in a fantastic match. That is interesting because, I don't know, they'll probably book him like they have a lot of these young guys where he's going to look awesome, but he's going to get beat a bunch, and which I guess is, like, fine. But I feel like you can really make somebody, like, I'm not saying he's going to go undefeated, but I think Nick Wayne needs to have, like, a 1-2-3 kid moment, right, where he, like, beats somebody established. Not a Jericho, not somebody that you'd expect. I'm talking like a
the Jericho thing's been beat. Who'd you say?
Kenny Omega.
Damn! Whoa!
You know, just somebody like that, like where they just put on this banger 25-minute like TV match, and you know, he like moonsaults off the top and pins him. You know, like something, you know, like very 1-2-3 kid-esque. I think it'd be great.
Hey, what happened to Action Andretti?
I think he's been on ROH lately. I haven't seen the last couple of weeks, but yeah, he had actually
in action and ready.
Yes, stop. They had it. The last one I saw, and this was like 2 weeks ago. It was
fucking dad joke.
It was it was an ROH 6-man title match. Him, AR Fox, and Darius Martin were facing the Embassy in a 6-man ROH title match. Embassy won. So basically, he's been in ROH for the last few weeks.
If Aaron catches me smoking this cigarette tonight, I'm going to be no Action Andretti. You guys know what I mean? You guys know what I mean?
My nigga, go ahead, T-Vic.
Oh man. Good shit. So I want to not bury the lead here because this is the entertaining thing in AEW right now, and it is very WWE-esque, but it is so good. And with 5 hours of TV, they're going to need to do more stuff like this because this is the kind of stuff that's going to get me tuning in every week. Every week when I tune into AEW, I know I'm going to see good matches. That's not enough. Whenever there's just so many good matches, I can just pull them up on my phone. I have so much stuff on my phone. I have no problem looking at my phone for hours and hours. And I need storylines. And this MJF Adam Cole storyline is so good. These guys are just phenomenal. They start off with some bonding time at the gym. And again, very WWE, but MJF's waiting outside. And Adam Cole walks out, and he's like, "Hey, where you been? I've been doing cardio for an hour." And MJF says, "Oh, I see you forgot your what is it?
Better than you, baby.
Better than you, baby shirt." Oh, okay. And they go in, and MJF like starts doing reps, and he asks for a spot, and he's just being so nice to Cole. And Cole's like, "Yeah, I'll spot you." And then Cole's just looking at his phone the whole time, not spotting him. And then he's got a bunch of bars on there because MJF's pretty strong, and Cole just goes down there and they gimmick the camera really well. and Cole's just pumping iron, just pumping what looks like a lot of weight, but they have the camera zoomed in, so it's obviously not. But really good stuff. And then MJF's making fun of this really fat guy, and Cole's like, dude, you can't do that anymore. He's like, it's not okay. Like, Max, you got to stop. And he's, but then they have this bonding moment where he's like, you can't make fun of fat people. He's like, but you know who that guy reminds me of? And they both say Tony Schiavone. And dude, I literally spit out a drink. I was like in a shitty mood. I had like some water on my nightstand, and I had like taken some medicine, and I fucking spit out my drink whenever they said Tony Schiavone. It fucking killed me.
It's the Rock
really
and
turned
Sock
my whole night
connection.
around.
It's the Rock and Sock connection. Like, I think Steve Harrison put that on Facebook. That's exactly what it seems like, and it seems like the whole reason they even had this tag tournament is for this angle. Like, they are putting.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, but they are putting together old tag teams and saying it's random. Like, next week they have Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia in the same tag team. They're both in Jericho Appreciation Society. I'm here for it. Listen, I love the MJF and Adam Cole stuff. I just wish they would have put a little bit more creativity into the rest of the pairings. That could have been fun, you know?
That's all I'm asking. If you're going to say this is the blind eliminator tournament, okay.
Put Sting in there with Danhausen.
Look, they can't get Crazy Steve over from Impact, okay? That's the only blind motherfucker that I know that wrestles, and you get away with that shit. Outside of that, you stuck with it. I agree with you totally. That's my biggest problem with it.
Put Orange Cassidy with Lance Archer.
Or something.
That would have been fun.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
He's in Japan.
Yeah, obviously, but you get. I'm agreeing with you totally. If it's the blind, quote unquote, eliminator tournament, then have it to where
like Matt Menard and the Butcher.
Okay,
like, they didn't even get entrances.
Okay, okay, thank you. A, so you knew they were gonna lose, but B, that's my point. These motherfuckers don't have any. I wouldn't say anything, but they do have they fought, random opponents, common opponents, or whatever.
Whatever.
Better choice of words. But that's my point. I'd rather it be like that versus like Swerve and Keith Lee. I'm like, all right, man, come on. I don't care if you did the little fucking, bingo roll or whatever, and these two names came up. Man, give me a break. We know how this shit's going to work. That to me, I agree with you. It was just lazy. I'm not going to sit here and say the matches weren't good. The creativity was lazy.
What else we got, Zach?
The next big thing was Jericho comes out, and I was like, oh, Jericho's in Edmonton. I'm like, oh, he's just, he's going to do a babyface promo. And then it looks like he's doing like a babyface turn. This was pretty funny. I mean, really, like, kind of like masterful stuff, like from Jericho. He's just an absolute legend at this kind of thing. And it was funny, though, because you can tell he prepared it, but also, not like a word for word preparation, because he's like, so I'm going down here, back where I remember this, and it reminded me. I'm like, yeah, that's what remembering is. It's like a reminder of something, and it just cracked me up. But he's talking about landmarks, because he's from, just like Paige was doing
right, yeah,
on Saturday. But Callis comes out, and dude, way to just suck the life out of everything. Like, everybody, like, he has the greatest music. It's not even music. It's just like an ominous tone. It's so good. And like, he walks down the way he just walks down the ramp. Jesus Christ,
he cracks me up, man.
Stuff.
He is so
He's
funny.
So good. And basically, long story short, he asked Jericho to be in his faction. Jericho said he doesn't join factions, he starts them, but he said he'll give him a one-word answer, and that one-word answer is maybe. And so we're going to have some intrigue. So I think it's a good way to get Jericho a face turn, which might be necessary at this point, if that's the direction they go. If not, him and Callis together, like the cash in and stuff, also great. I'm fine with either.
Jason, you made a face when he said that Jericho needs a face turn. What was that face?
I cannot see Chris Jericho as a babyface at this point. You're going to have to tell me a serious story where he hates Don Callis so that now his hatred of Don Callis supersedes all hatred of the elite, because that's where I would assume it would go. Kota Ibushi is the guy. It doesn't make sense. That a face turn for Jericho doesn't make sense. You would have to spin me a scenario where he hates Don Callis so much that that's a baby face turn. That's the only thing I can see.
I agree with one of you completely. Which one do you think it is?
I'm assuming it's Zach. Like I said, to me,
how could you not see him as a face turn? He walked out there and he was so easily a face. It was like looking at a different person. He just settled right into it. He was perfect. And it was like, okay, he's been a heel for a long time. We need babyface Jericho.
Okay. Then, like I said, they'll have to tell me the story where you show me. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm saying that for me, Chris Jericho is a heel until you show me a reason that Chris Jericho is now a babyface.
Man,
he didn't do the turn yet, but
no, those two, they're telling a story over a couple weeks. Those two guys,
by all means,
they were really
knock
good.
yourselves out.
They were really good together.
I'm not going to sit up here and say I didn't enjoy the segment. I just have a hard time seeing right now Chris Jericho as a babyface.
At this moment, on this date, July 6th, 2023,
right.
I enjoy seeing Don Callis on my television more than Paul Heyman.
Whoa!
I think that's fair. I think I would agree with that.
Oh, hell no.
I would agree with that, my tribal chief. I would absolutely agree with my tribal chief.
Blasphemous on all accounts. Man, hell no. Look, do not get me wrong. I love them both. I'm glad they're on television on both sides. Obviously, I would love to see Don Callis more. It feels like we're going to see Don Callis more. That being said, no.
Okay.
No. Paul Heyman has been integral from the start. When we saw him sitting next to Roman Reigns at the end of SmackDown, we were all just like, what?
I mean, you heard me say very specifically on this date, I prefer Don Callis. What was next, Zach?
I will want to bring up something that Callis said that I don't think we talked about enough, but it was interesting. Really, if Don Callis had not called Chris Jericho, who was in WWE, and said, hey, what do you think about main eventing Tokyo Dome with Kenny Omega? He literally changed the wrestling landscape. I mean, all of those New Japan World subscribers, that's whenever I subscribed to New Japan World was for that show. And then I've never unsubscribed, and we, started watching we started making a wrestling podcast, talking about all this shit. AEW would not have happened because it just showed the level of interest outside of WWE for something like that. It got Jericho thinking outside of WWE. It got him thinking, who knows? Imagine if Jericho was still in WWE. I don't think he'd be like Randy Orton level. Who knows what he would be doing? I don't know. It was. I don't want to understate. It wasn't Callis just being a heel. But dude, that's a significant wrestling historical event for real.
No doubt.
I mean, most podcasts will not have a Don Callis appreciation night until Don Callis passes away. Not Banned from Ringside. Don Callis appreciation night.
July 6th.
Every night. Up in this motherfucker. Cheers to a real one.
Right. No, I love Don Callis.
Guys eat free.
What'd you say?
I said bald guys eat free. Bald carnies eat free.
Yes!
They do anyway.
Nice.
I'll figure out a way.
They do anyway.
So speaking of which, we had that little backstage segment with Doc Sampson and Roderick Strong. Doc Sampson is not a good television personality. It was pretty funny. He's just it's like, you're a doctor. Just don't pretend to do anything. Just be a doctor and treat the guy. It was very funny. He's I don't know, the way he was touching Strong. It was just kind of weird. Very obviously for the camera. But anyway, Cole's in there and, got a text from MJF while he was in there. This is going to be a fun story. But they went out. They had a tag match. Tag match was unremarkable. But what was remarkable was just everything that had to do with the interaction between Cole and MJF. Like, from the moment MJF comes out, he's the world champion, immediately comes out and demands that they cut his music so that they can play Adam Cole's music, and he starts doing all the Adam Cole mannerisms, and he's doing the whole Adam Cole interest even more enthusiastically than Adam Cole is himself. My God, I think, spoiler alert, I love this angle. Very good. Came out, of course, they won, even though they didn't do a double clothesline, much to the chagrin of MJF. But he had a bunch of jobbers come out, and or a bunch of geeks with a cake, and because it was Cole's birthday, and of course, you know, you see a cake on a wrestling show, you're like, somebody's getting pie-faced here. And, you know, Max does everything you'd expect Max to do. He sings, like, really, really, really well, like the happy birthday thing, and even making, like, somebody else's birthday celebration about him because he's such a narcissist, but even while pretending to be his buddy. And he goes to put Cole's face in the cake, and Cole reverses it, but MJF can't be mad at him, and he ends up Adam Cole ends up sincerely thanking him for all the effort that he put into it. Overall, A+ segment.
Pretty fun segment. Yeah, I'm down with it. I'm not quite as enthusiastic as you, I don't think, but I mean, I thought I'm interested to see where they go. I think it's funny. I just wish that MJF wasn't the champ doing this. That's all. Unless Adam Cole's going to take it off him. I hope Adam Cole takes it off him. What do you think, Jason?
As much as I want to hate it, it's too goddamn entertaining not to. It feels like Star Wars a little bit, and that's when I was watching it. I was like, man, you know, this feels like, you know, Anakin Skywalker getting seduced over to the dark side, but Adam Cole has already been a heel. He was a heel when he walked in the door, so he already has heel tendencies. He just kind of buried them a little bit. Now they're starting to come back out to the surface fucking with MJF. I'm with you. I want to see a rematch, but then the other part of me is like, I don't want to see Adam Cole and MJF break up just yet. Obviously, they'll go to the finals, and then from that point, we'll see what happens. I have no idea who's on the other side, so that's the part about having these, you know, matches that are just announced as we go along. We don't see a bracket.
I want to see the next segment. I'm excited. I'm excited for the pairing. I am,
without question.
Tell me a story,
and they are, I guess.
Give me some of that sports entertainment. You know what I mean?
And that's where we're getting. So funny that we run down WWE from time to time, but now WWE's coming in AEW, and now we're loving it. But they're doing it in this scenario for it's all. And I was thinking about this too. The common denominator is MJF. And it's time to start giving his fucking props. Every time we look around, and I ran it down the week before, but when we have these mismatched, you know, pairings, MJF is the common denominator. So we got to start giving him props for that. And now, once again, I think this run as him being the AEW champion, you're going to have him beat guys that are going to be legitimate guys. So now you're going to have him be a dual threat as a wrestler and a character.
What was next, Zach?
All right. What was next? We had
Ruby Soho.
Defeated Britt Baker. So this was the final of the last year's ONR tournament match. And this was maybe like a quarterfinal or something for this one, but Ruby Soho beat her. There was some fuckery. She did like kind of a cradle, and I think it was Toni Storm reached through and grabbed the arm to kind of give her some leverage.
Saraya's holding Toni Storm's arm.
It was Saraya. So, and then we had a face-off between Sky Blue and Soho because they're going to be in the next match. So this was fine. It was a fine match. I don't really have anything negative or super positive to say about it.
It just seems like every single one of these matches with the Outcast always ends with the three Outcasts running up the ramp giggling. It's just hard. It's hard to stay invested in this at all.
I'll say this.
In fact, I'll say this. I hate it.
I'll double down on I hate it. the AEW's women's division is something that I've always had a problem with. Let's just say easily for the last 6 months, probably for a calendar year.
And they have the fucking talent.
Okay, so now here's my problem with it. Watching NXT on Tuesday, there were 4 women's segments, 2 matches, and then 2 segments, backstage or otherwise, where you had women involved in it. And that's 2 hours. In 5 hours of AEW, you have 3 matches. 3. You don't even have backstage bullshit. You don't have anything setting up for anything. You just have 3 matches. When Britt Baker came out with the title that she won last year, I was like, okay, I know how this is going to end. She's going to get hit with this title, and that's how we're going to start with this fuckery. That's some WWE bullshit. When I can start predicting the finish of matches that I haven't even seen in a hot minute, that's WWE, and that's fucking lazy. That's why I don't want any woman to come over that's hot, to come over to AEW at this point. That shit's a hot mess right now. Okay, it's Chris Statlander, and it's pretty much anybody else at this point. I don't even care about Toni Storm. Toni Storm is in this little menage of the Outcast, where you have Toni Storm as the worker, you got Ruby Soho as the mouthpiece, and I don't even know what the fuck Saray is doing. So I mean, at this point,
she's giggling a lot.
Okay, so at this point, it's a whole fucking mess. And that's why I was worried about Willow Nightingale, which is a whole nother story. We'll talk about that in a second. Everybody's like, oh, Willow Nightingale's going to be okay. No, she's not. She's not. And especially in this fucking division, in AEW or ROH or otherwise anything under the Tony Khan umbrella, she is in trouble because Tony Khan does not give 2 shits or 3 shits about anything about the women's division. It's the WWE equivalent of the women's division. Women's division is equal to WWE's tag team division. Neither one of them motherfuckers give a fuck about either or.
Zach, what do you think? You want to respond to that?
I don't know. Are they drawing money? Like,
I don't know.
But,
okay, so let's talk about the AEW's.
I haven't said anything.
Let's talk about the AEW's women's division too. No, I'm just going to direct this to Beer. Name the top 5 AEW women's stars right now.
Britt Baker, Toni Storm. I guess he'd say Gina here, but she's absent, injured. I think you put Saraya in there because she's a star, but she doesn't really do much. And then
Hikaru Shida.
Hikaru Shida was the other one I was going to say, yeah.
Okay, so Hikaru Shida is the one that I've always banged on that she doesn't give enough respect, and now once again she just kind of we just throw her in, so that just kind of proves my point. Taya Valkyrie, you brought her in on this motherfucker, and all we've seen since that, she's lost to Jade and she's losing to everybody else since, so that makes no sense. Jade Cargill, she's taking the absence to leave, so I'll let that one slide. They had what's your girl's name, not Serena Garrett, but she was with Layla Hirsch or whatever. I can see her. Serena Deeb. Okay, she's a good wrestler. You let her ass slide. So
the Applebee's server?
Yeah, the Applebee's server. Now come over here and tie your ass up in a heartbeat. My point is My point is this. When you Athena now is the cream of the crop because she's the one out of both sides that's been even pushed. Outside of that, I don't have any fucking trust in Tony Khan when it comes to women's wrestling. They throw them out there. It's the same time every week, predictable as fuck. This was predictable as fuck, and you can see it. You can see it, and if you say otherwise, you're crazy.
I just don't think a lot. I'm not defending it at all. I think you're right. I just don't think a lot of people really give a shit. I think it's a vocal minority, like a loud minority of people that actually give a shit about like the women's division. It's just like there, right? Because American promotions are almost required to have a women's division, or they're labeled sexist or whatever. But I don't think people really care. I like the Japanese way. Stardom rules, fantastic. I would just like prefer like a whole separation, women's show or something. I don't know.
All right, so you guys have said a lot about this topic, and I don't care about it. So, Zach,
Bill just made my point.
I really do not care. It's so fucking boring, and it's not boring in a fun way or an interesting way. It is just fucking boring. Listen, I think there's stuff I think is boring, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I don't want to throw any wrestlers under the bus. There's just shit that I think is boring.
What exactly is boring here? I just for clarification purposes.
I don't. To tell you the truth, I pay so little attention to it that I have to look
to it. What is it?
I have to.
Is it women's wrestling? Is it AEW?
This particular feud between Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter and that side with the Outcasts. I just don't fucking care. In fact, when it comes on screen, I have to sit there and think about it like these twins I know, Kurt and Kevin Schneider, that I've known for 35 years, and I have to stare at them every time I see them to figure out which one is which. I have to stare at the TV to try to think of who is on whose side because I give so little shit about this shit. I'm like, is Ruby Soho with Britt? No, she's not. No, she's old WWE. Okay, yeah, she's with the other ones. It's so fucking boring. It's like I'm looking at twins. I guess I just outed myself as somebody who just can't tell twins apart, period.
Okay, well, I guess you're making both of our points. To me, NXT in 2 hours is way more interesting than the 5 you throw to me in AEW. You make Zach's point as well.
Oh, wow. I'm making everybody's points. All right, what was next?
Main event, Kenny Omega and Wheeler Yuta. And this was a fun match. Yuta had pinned Omega recently in a multi-man match. And really just kind of driving this story forward. The main thing here is we are leading up to Blood and Guts. And it looks like we're going to get a reuniting of the Golden Lovers. They're hinting at Kota Ibushi coming back because Eddie Kingston is going to be doing the G1. So the Elite need a partner, and who better?
Who better than Canyon? What do you think, Jason?
That's exactly where I was going with that.
All right.
Obviously, the dots connect. I want to see it. Twitter, what I saw today is almost leaning towards that route where I saw that Kota Ibushi's representatives have scaled down his schedule past Blood and Guts, so that might lead to an extended Kota Ibushi run in AEW. We'll see what happens. I guess the question to me is, and that's where I was like, I can't see Jericho being a babyface. There needs to be a fifth guy on the BCC side. Jericho makes sense. If you don't want to say Jericho, then you would have to bring in someone who has ties to it, or in the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks, whenever it is, you have to make somebody have ties to it. Shota Umino will probably be over in Japan or whatever the case may be. From there, Desperado, same thing. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I get it. I get what you're saying, but there needs to be somebody on that fifth side of the heel side. Jericho makes sense. And then at that point, if you want to have a baby face turn, knock yourself out. But Jericho makes sense there.
I'll tell you what. I told you I didn't give a shit about that last storyline. I give a shit about this one. This was fucking cool. I love the ending of this. I don't care who it is. The Blood and Guts is going to be fun. The only thing and the match was really fun between Omega and Wheeler Yuta. The only thing
the unofficial little brother of BFR.
This is the kind of match they call a combat forger. But the only thing that I think is weird about this one is that Takeshita can't. Oh, I got him.
Nope.
All
Held
right.
it down.
Right.
No. As soon as I got up, we're good. Son of a bitch.
But Takeshita hit the Blue Thunder Bomb on Omega, and then Wheeler Yuta hit his move, and then Kenny Omega still kicked out of it. That doesn't do a lot for Takeshita, does it? I mean, if you're going to have Takeshita come out and give him
I don't think that's his finisher. No, is that his finisher?
Well, if he's coming out there,
What is that?
if he's coming out there and doing something that's not his finisher, why is he coming out there?
It's just to give Wheeler Yuta the advantage, so then Wheeler Yuta pulls the seatbelt.
No, I mean in terms of writing, it doesn't make any sense. Takeshita should come out there and do his finisher.
To me,
The Blue Thunder Bomb is not his finisher?
oh hell no. But and to
It looks
me,
badass.
thank you. That is the point. I don't.
It looks
As,
awesome.
as all the crazy wrestling I watch, I've never seen these two, Takeshita and Kenny Omega, in the ring in a singles match. So when you throw Takeshita in there again, and when Kenny goes next to him, I'm once again just like, damn, Takeshita's big. That's a big dude.
Yeah, he's
and
big.
he's just, and the next thing you know, he snatched Kenny up and just spun him around, threw him down like it wasn't shit.
Yeah, it was badass.
And that's my takeaway from it. I was like, oh, okay. And he dipped. And then that's why I was like, all right, so now we're back to square one again.
I would have given Wheeler the win. If a guy comes in, what do you think, Zach? Am I wrong? Am I crazy?
I'm not having Wheeler Yuta pin Kenny Omega. I'm sorry.
You already did.
Well, then you got to call a DQ and
He pinned,
Takeshita
yeah,
comes.
I mean, he pinned him in a multi-man match, and that's like a concession right there. It sets up this match, and then it gives the guy hope spots. But
Well, then the Takeshita thing should have been a DQ or come after the win. Then don't have
I don't
Takeshita.
know. It was just there to do your favorite thing, which is to get everybody in the ring at the end of the show.
It was a smize during the match.
If that's not his finisher, it should be.
I don't think it is, and
I mean, he spun him around like a fucking top.
sweet. God, I cannot wait. That motherfucker is
It was
no joke.
It was really good.
I want to see more singles matches with Takeshita with, quote unquote top stars in AEW.
I want to see
sooner versus
Takeshita
later.
Vikingo.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Woo! That sounds fun, doesn't it?
If Takeshita gets a hold of Vikingo, this could get ugly.
I'm the biggest Vikingo fan in the biz today.
I wish there was like a flashback to like when the PWI 500 came out and he was like, Vikingo, what the fuck?
Oh, my God.
And for the last 15 minutes of that podcast, we were arguing about that shit.
And then that week I went and watched a bunch of Vikingo matches. The next week I was like, fuck yes, Vikingo fucking rules, dude.
That's the beauty of wrestling right there. I'll just say this, and I was thinking about this on the way over, and I know we're going to go to the 3 count in a little bit. I'm going to hijack your pride for 30 seconds, 3 beer. I'm kind of down on AEW past Forbidden Door. Outside of MJF, Adam Cole.
1 week.
May I finish?
Sure.
Past Adam Cole and MJF, can we name something else? Okay. Adam Cole, MJF, Blood and Guts. I'll give you those two.
There's the Owen Wilson or the Owen.
Thank you.
Hart. The Owen Hart tournament.
Thank you. You just kind of made my point there.
I'm high.
That ain't my point.
There's the Owen Hart tournament, and there's also the tag tournament. Both those things are going on.
That tag tournament is MJF, Adam Cole. We know how that's going to end.
But I mean, they can at least. There is some stuff going. There's CM Punk versus Samoa Joe.
That's the Owen Hart part of the program.
That's
That's
exciting though.
All right, I guess there's for 3 shows, 5 hours.
Oh, it seems like a lot. It is a fucking chore, man.
It's not a chore. I just think that
I didn't
they're-
watch Rampage, and I think that I read the same thing that Zach said, was that Commander versus Claudio was just okay. I was like, well, I'm skipping it. Like,
I guess that's kind of my point. With this roster, with these shows, I don't know. There's just something missing. Past the top, the middle of this is.
Well, there was somebody missing from AEW television. A couple guys missing from AEW television this week, which might have something to do with it, and that's what they call a segue in the business, folks. Let's get to that 3 count.
You ain't shit.
3.
So the 3 count is there was a couple of NJPW shows, NJPW Strong shows in Corcoran Hall. That's hard for me to say, but I think I did okay.
You did
so
well.
It's Independence Nights 1 and 2. So we'll start with night 1, and we're not going to go through every match, but let's hit the highlights. The main event was Moxley and Homicide versus El Desperado, and what's the other guy's name?
Jun Takai. I've never heard of him before. Jun Takai. Thank you.
So this was a fun, violent match. There was lots of blood in this match. I mean, really, like, it gets thrown around a lot, but, I mean, I didn't know the old guy that was in there, Kasai, whose name you just said, but I know the other 3, and Moxley and Homicide are absolute maniacs. I know it gets thrown around a lot, like, hyperbolically, but they are fucking maniacs. Moxley is he's kind of a sicko.
Not a huge fan of death matches, so I knew coming in this was going to be something that's going to be outside of my comfort zone. And watching people get sliced in the forehead by let's just call it for what it is. It's just a razor. I mean, it feels like what they used back in the old days with us bald head guys. It's just a clean, straight razor. It's almost like a sword. I was like, Jesus Christ. This guy's just like, give me your forehead. I was like, oh, shit. What
Zach,
the fuck is this?
What do you think about the skewers in the head?
Oh, man, I had never seen that before. And I am someone who occasionally dabbles in death matches. I feel like every now and then I get a wild hair, and I'll just watch a couple hours of them. You got to, like, sprinkle in some variety. It's kind of like, every now and then you just like throw some BDSM searches into your jerk session, just like every couple months, not too much. You don't get too crazy with it, but every now and then.
You don't want to completely fuck the algorithm.
The one before.
You don't want to ruin the algorithm. You also don't want to go down the hole where you're just like, oh my, you need like the craziest shit in the world to come. So, you just really you want to keep it pretty level. But I had seen him do a little bit of stuff and was a little bit familiar with his work. And, but I had not seen the skewers thing. That's pretty creative. For minimal actual, like, I'm saying, I imagine it hurts, but for minimal, for safety, that's a safe spot that looks gross as shit. It's perfect for deathmatch wrestling.
So we also had 2 title changes on this show, back to back, both Bullet Club wins. You had Driller Maloney and Clark Connors defeated Catch 22 for the NJPW junior weight tag team junior belts. What you think about this match, Jason?
I was kind of surprised, honestly. I thought that there was going to be a title change. This was the title change I didn't think was going to happen, especially when you had TJP and Francisco Akira just get the titles back. But this is obviously a Bullet Club push. I do like Clark Connors and Dan Maloney together. They are some angry little men. I mean, the fuck word hasn't come out of so many mouths so many times, but minus that, I like their chemistry in the ring. Their spike pile driver, the night 1 was a good way to kind of play off the Dan Maloney finisher, and then night 2 they did a suplex spear finisher where it plays off Clark Connors' finisher or old finisher as well. So, I mean, their chemistry is good. I think they're going to have a nice little run as junior tag title champs. Catch 22 is okay. They're fine. They're like the Bishiman, Yoshihashi, and Goto of the junior division. So, ultimately, they'll be fine. But
what you think of this, Zach?
Absolutely killer match. Very surprised at the finish. and even more surprised with what they were doing with those belts afterwards. Jesus, that was lewd. Oh my God! Like Maloney, I know he's called the Driller, but he laid the belt on the mat and was pumping it. That's aggressive.
Right before
Zero
that,
fucks given.
Right before that, and this is the last match we'll talk about with night one. We had Alex Coughlin and Gabriel Kidd, the War Dogs, defeated Bishamon to win the NJPW Strong tag belts, not the NJPW heavyweight tag belts. What do you think about this, Zach?
Kind of went the way I expected. I expected them to win this and then lose the main ones. They were never supposed to be together. It was just or if they were, it was just going to be for Aussie Open to have them and defend both of them. But dude getting hurt kind of screwed that up. Mark Davis getting hurt screwed that up. So, but solid matches on both nights, and went exactly how I had predicted because I am incredibly intelligent.
What you think about it, Jason?
This is the one I thought was going to be the title change because I didn't catch exactly what Two Beer said before I got back, but this was the Aussie Open spot, and obviously for contractual reasons signed with AEW and Mark Davis getting hurt, you had to fill that spot. To me, Bishamon was a nice placeholder for someone that is younger, that feels more like the NJPW Strong brand, so to speak. Coughlin and Gabriel Kidd have wrestled on that show multiple times, so this makes total sense. So in this scenario, good call. The match is just crazy as fuck. I mean, just in and out of the ring. Both of the matches in night one were in and out of the ring, all kinds of crazy spots. So I thought that was fun to watch. It was a nice build to the eventual tag team death match that you saw in night one.
So we're an hour and 45 minutes into this podcast, and I can't believe that I forgot about this until right now, but I'm glad I wrote it down because we have an early favorite for promo of the year for my beef for promo of the year in 2023. After Alex Coughlin and Gabriel Kidd won this match, Alex Coughlin says some cocky shit about Bullet Club. Gabriel Kidd picks up the microphone and goes, "Hey, Bishamon, fuck you." and then he put the mic down.
No, that was Alex Coughlin.
Sorry, Alex Coughlin said it. Promo of the year.
So good.
Hey, Bishamon, fuck you.
I was like,
right
damn.
into the mic, looking into the hard camera.
I was like, wow.
And that was the whole promo.
I was like, all right.
Promo of the year. Promo of the fucking century.
Okay, that motherfucker just came out. I was like, you know what? Fuck you. Hit my music. Oh, damn. That's it?
I got to get that as a drop. Oh, I can't believe I didn't do that before this.
I'm like, okay, let's go.
And then night two, the last three matches were all pretty exciting. We had Moxley versus El Desperado in a final death match, which was something. We had Eddie Kingston wins the never open weight belt off of Kenta, and Julia wins the NJPW Strong women's belt off of Willow Nightingale. Zach, what are your highlights?
Oh, man. The death match was a highlight. Again, not normally something. It's definitely not something you see in New Japan, so that was different. Desperado's really good at it. He really fits it very well. We know Moxley is. Basically, you need the guy who makes the Japanese tables to make all of the bridges in America, because those things never break.
I'm
Willow
dead.
Nightingale and Julia had a hell of a match.
He's heating
I
up.
really liked Julia's takedowns of Willow, kind of starting from the bottom up, grabbing her. She had those, big legs. She's a bigger woman than Julia, so she's, taking out her base. Julia sold the pounce really well. They had a really, really good match, and, of course, made sense that Julia won. She's an absolute superstar. Much bigger match for Mercedes coming back than Willow, even though Willow has a lot of potential, and we're all fans of hers. Julia's Julia, there's really kind of as a fully expected win. Big props to Eddie Kingston. pretty cool that he had a 0-0 record in Kurikan Hall, had never wrestled Kurikan Hall, and then he won his first Japanese title in Japan at Kurikan Hall. That's, for a dude who's really into Japanese wrestling, that was a really cool night for him. I think even Phil could appreciate that. But yeah, that was a highlight for me.
No, I agree with that. I'm just going to say in no particular order. I would probably say, to me, Eddie Kingston is probably the one that really stands out the most because he always references his influences from Japanese wrestling in all kinds of promotions. So, to see him win the title, I haven't seen the backstage comments yet, so that's something I want to actually go back and check out. Desperado and Mox
from Kenta, who's like legitimately a legend.
Yeah, and I thought, and it felt like it was the right person to kind of pass it over to Eddie Kingston, Kenta, with all kinds of fuckery using both titles. I thought that was kind of funny in that scenario. But, Kenta to me is not serious anymore. He's more of a sports entertainment-ish than anything else. But neither here nor there. Seeing Eddie Kingston win was a nice moment. Moxley and Desperado, the singles match was basically the death match, but in singles version, just as violent, just as squeamish. Moxley going over and then coming out and saying that he wants to be the first guy to win all three major titles, and I'm counting AEW in this scenario, New Japan, IWGP, AEW, and WWE titles. After the fact was kind of interesting. I'm not sure it's going to happen, but you at least plant some seeds there. And then obviously Julia and Willow Nightingale I thought was really good. It was another good performance for Willow in the L, but ultimately we all kind of agreed that this was going to be the shortcut to get us back to where it's Julia versus Mercedes Moné. It gives both women more shine, more so for Julia for those who don't watch Stardom. So in this scenario, it's unfortunate for Willow, but this was kind of the way it was going to be to begin with. Willow having a nice little run with the title is okay. Hopefully she can beat Athena, beat Sky Blue, and get some of this momentum back.
I think that Willow Nightingale is going to be fine. I think that people like her, and I think that she'll make a living as a wrestler. I don't know if she's going to be on top of a bunch of promotions. She might be, but she's definitely got a career ahead of her. That was a fun match. I haven't really watched Julia fight. I know that she's kind of the one that the hot one. So she fucking rules.
There's more than one.
No. I mean that she's got some heat behind her. She's got some momentum. I know that people like her a lot. Is what I meant.
And I would repeat my statement. There's more than one, but that's okay. I get what you're saying. Utami is coming over for GCW in a week or so. She'll have like three dates here. So another chance to see someone else from Stardom that you might not get a chance to watch in action.
Kingston versus Kenta was, the type of match that I expected those two to have, which was a hard-hitting, not necessarily a sprint, but they definitely it was a fun fight that looked like a real fight. I really liked Kenta in this match, to be honest. I thought that he played the role perfectly. Mox versus Despy was, it was what you would think a final death match was. It was like, it's borderline just silly. Well, I guess not borderline. Like, it's silly, but wrestling's kind of silly anyway. But, man, just pounding skewers into a guy's head is just fucking weird. It's weird to look. It gives me chills when I think about it. Not like good chills. It's like, this is...
Okay, yeah. Y'all need to stop that shit. I said this after the fact. I got my death match quota for the year and next year out of the way. We're good on death matches. I'm not knocking for anybody else. In a vacuum, I enjoyed this match. It's just not something I can watch repeatedly over and over and over again. It's just too much.
Zach's probably already back there just jerking off torture porn right now. So
Sorry, it was hard to take myself off mute. My hand was so slippery.
Overall, like the main events delivered. Like like I said, I mean, deathmatch is it's still fun to watch. I mean, it's wrestling. It is a different kind of wrestling, but it is a change up from what you're usually used to.
It's different. I just can't do it. Like I said, I can't watch it like every week, like GCW or like every month. There's people I will know that will watch GCW all the time. I can't do it.
I'll do it for our 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
All right, so just a few odds and ends real quick. But NXT had a loser leaves NXT match between the Creeds and the Dyad.
Surprise, nigga.
The Dyad is the grizzled young veterans, and they, in a shoot, they have asked for their release, and they were denied their release. So it looked like this was the way that they were going to write those guys off of TV, but the Creeds lost. So the Creeds are leaving NXT. Here's what I propose. The Creeds versus KO and Sami Zayn at SummerSlam. Let's let these guys cook. Hey, I mean, they are fun wrestlers. They're a cool team, and I want to see them.
Are you just saying let's throw it out there and have the match and have the chance retain, or are you saying that the Creed should win the match?
Either one would be fine with me.
No, get off the fence.
Well, I mean, it depends on if are they going to break up Sami and KO anytime soon? Because Sami and KO shouldn't stay together after they lose the belts. It would make
Okay, I agree with that. Probably in theory, I can't see why they would break them up right now.
Then I would have KO and Sami win.
Tuber, you okay with that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Creeds are super fun to watch, man. That Julius Creed is he's getting better at the wrestling thing because he is just so explosive and athletic.
He's like a gigantic Angle.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can totally see that. He's very good at the tech, not even the technical, but the wrestling part of it, the Greco-Roman wrestling that you see in the Olympics. I think he's good at that part.
I think they've been primetime ready since even before they joined the Diamond Mine with Roderick Strong. Like I think that they fucking rule. So
no, it's another argument for why I think that you should now not even break up Sami and KO, but just somehow break off them being unified tag champions. You're getting to the point where now you're getting enough tag teams to where you can justify having them being separate versus unified.
Any other odds and ends? That's really all I want to talk about.
No, NXT was pretty much straightforward. Braun and Dragunov at the end is now the more interesting part. Outside of that, everything's kind of moving towards the Great American Bash at the end of the month.
All right, that's going to do it for our odds and ends.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Hey, everybody, we got some birthdays this week. Lars Sullivan, remember him? 35. Ludwig Kaiser.
Hang on, man. No. Let Two-Beer get his joke in so that way I can feel better. Get your joke in, Two-Beer.
Oh, I just said RIP. I was talking about his career.
Ludwig Kaiser is 33. Kevin Nash, who's recently in the news for saying that LA Knight is just The Rock, is 64. Mark Marrow is 63.
So he spent like a good chunk of his career next to Hulk Hogan, who was just superstar Billy Graham.
Damn.
I mean, you know how many nature boys there were? It's like, come on, Kevin Nash, just fucking lighten up.
You got a point.
Mark Marrow is 63. Shelton Benjamin is 48. Gilbert, I had to put him in there, is 64. Jason?
I'm going to go with Canadian on this one. Let's go with this. Next year, too, when we do the birthdays, I have a Canadian out every time. I just can't do Canadian all the time. It's either alive, dead, or Canadian. I have one Canadian out every time.
He is alive, and he is American.
I wouldn't have guessed. In a million years.
Tyson Kidd is 43. Jeff Cobb is 41. Hurricane Helms is 49. I told him where the bathroom was one time.
Yep.
Sami Zayn is 39. And Brock.
Did you point at your open mouth?
Hey, everybody. We know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to our podcast. For Xander the cat, for
Check.
Amelia the cat,
Check.
for Reba the dog, for
Check.
Tender the baby, for
Check.
Aaron the wife,
Check.
for Tender Mahal,
Check.
for Lucha Chris,
Check.
for Patriot Pat,
Check.
for Vice,
Check.
for Three Beers, Zach Paul,
That ain't
for
shit.
Jason Cornelius Bell,
Konnichiwa,
Black Lives
bitches.
Matter,
Check.
support your local weed dealer,
Check.
support your local restaurants.
Check.
Spay and neuter your cats and
Check.
dogs.
Check.
And never ever forget to boo the heels.
Boo!